It was a warm May morning in 2025, and the University of Alabama's Bryant-Denny Stadium buzzed with excitement. Thousands of graduates in crimson caps and gowns filled the field, their families cheering from the stands. The air was thick with anticipation as the commencement ceremony reached its climax. The guest speaker, none other than former President Donald Trump, stepped up to the podium, his red tie catching the sunlight as he adjusted the microphone. The crowd erupted in applause, a mix of cheers and murmurs echoing through the stadium. Trump had been invited to deliver the address, a decision that had sparked both excitement and controversy on campus. But on this day, all eyes were on him. Among the graduates sat Emily Harper, a 22-year-old engineering major with a quiet determination in her eyes. Emily had grown up in a small Alabama town, the daughter of a single mother who worked 2 jobs to support her education. She had graduated at the top of her class, but as she sat among her peers, she felt a knot of uncertainty in her stomach. She had a dream, a big one, to start her own tech company focused on renewable energy solutions. But the path ahead seemed daunting. The world felt too big, too competitive, and she wasn't sure if she was ready to take the leap. Trump cleared his throat, his brassy voice cutting through the stadium. "Well, graduates, here we are. What a day, huh? A tremendous day. The best day, actually. You're at the University of Alabama, one of the greatest schools in the country, and you're about to go out into the world. It's going to be an adventure, a great adventure. And let me tell you, I've learned a lot in my life. I've built dreams, beaten the odds, a lot of odds. People said I couldn't do it, but here I am. I was president, thou. Did that happen? And you're going to be in the same position if you follow some of the lessons I've learned the hard way and the easy way." Emily leaned forward, her curiosity piqued. Trump's energy was infectious, and despite her initial skepticism about his presence, she found herself eager to hear what he had to say. He continued, "I'm going to share some ideas with you, ideas that are more interesting than the political stuff, believe me. So, would you like to hear them? Or should I skip over that part?" The crowd roared in approval and Trump grinned. "Okay, good, let's get to it." He began with his first lesson, his voice booming with conviction. "If you're sitting here today thinking you're too young to do something great, let me tell you you're wrong. You're not too young. You can have great success at a very young age. In America, with drive and ambition, young people can do anything. I was 28 when I took my first big gamble to develop the Grand Hyatt in Midtown Manhattan, and it worked out incredibly well. I was young in an old person's business. Steve Jobs was 21 when he founded Apple. Walt Disney was 21 when he started Disney. James Madison, James Monroe, Alexander Hamilton, Thomas Jefferson, they were no older than 25 when they began the journeys that put their names in the history books forever. So, don't waste your youth. Go out and fight right from the day you leave this incredible university. Fight tough, fight fair, but fight. You're going to be very successful because now is the time to work harder than you've ever worked before. Push yourself further than you've ever pushed. Find your limits and smash through them just like your football team smashes through on the field." The crowd erupted in applause, and Emily felt a surge of inspiration. She had always thought she needed more experience, more time to prepare, but Trump's words struck a chord. Maybe she wasn't too young to start her company. Maybe now was the time to take that risk. Trump moved on to his second lesson, his tone softening slightly. "Second, and very importantly, you have to love what you do. I rarely see someone successful who doesn't love what they do. When you love your work, it's not work, it's fun. I work all the time, and I find it fun. If I didn't, I wouldn't have been successful, whether in real estate or show business. I loved real estate so much, and I was very successful because I loved it. I learned a lot from my father. He was a workaholic, worked 7 days a week. Saturdays, Sundays, it didn't matter. He loved what he did. He had a great long-term marriage, close to 70 years. I told him, "Pop, you beat me on that one. I've been successful, but mine haven't lasted quite as long." But I learned from him that he loved life because he loved his work. Find something you love, follow your instincts, your heart, your soul, and be the best you can be. Treat every day like a home game against Auburn, fight like hell, and enjoy doing it. Emily smiled, thinking of her passion for renewable energy. She had always loved tinkering with gadgets as a child, building solar-powered toys and dreaming of a world where clean energy was accessible to everyone. Engineering wasn't just a career path for her, it was a calling. Trump's words reminded her that her love for her work could be her greatest strength. The third lesson came with a bold declaration. Third, think big. If you're going to do something, you might as well think big because it's just as tough to think small. I know people who thought small they were smart, but they didn't see the big picture. Others weren't as smart, but they thought big. And they did better because it's just as hard to solve a small problem as a big one. America doesn't aim small, Alabama doesn't aim small, and neither should you. You'll have the same headaches, the same challenges, so you might as well do something amazing. Emily's mind raced. Her dream of starting a tech company wasn't small, it was massive, ambitious, and risky. But Trump's words made her realize that playing it safe wouldn't necessarily be easier. If she was going to face challenges either way, why not aim for something extraordinary? Trump's fourth lesson was about hard work. Fourth, work hard. Never stop. I knew a great golfer, Gary Player, small guy, but he worked harder than anyone. He won 168 golf tournaments because he never stopped. He said, "The harder I work, the luckier I get." You have the talent, you got into this school, you got through it. That's not easy. So work hard and you'll be successful. Emily nodded to herself. She had always been a hard worker, staying up late to perfect her projects and studying tirelessly to earn her degree. But Trump's story about Gary Player made her realize that hard work wasn't just about effort, it was about persistence, about turning effort into opportunity. The fifth lesson was a cautionary tale about momentum. Fifth, don't lose your momentum. You have to keep it going, and you have to know when you're losing it. I knew a great real estate developer, William Levitt, built Levittown, thousands of houses. He sold his company to Gulf and Western for a fortune, retired, lived a life of luxury in the south of France with his trophy wife. But after 15 years, they sold it back to him because they couldn't run it like he did. He tried to start again, but he had lost his momentum. The markets turned, and he went bankrupt. I saw him at a party on Fifth Avenue, sitting alone, looking glum. I asked him, "Can you come back?" He said, "No, son, I lost my momentum." If he had kept going, he would have been 3 times bigger. You have to know when your momentum time is up. Don't stop too soon, or you might not get it back. Emily felt a chill as she listened to the story of William Levitt. She had never thought about momentum as a tangible force, but Trump's words made her see it differently. She realized that starting her company now while she was young and driven, was crucial. If she waited too long, she might lose the energy and passion that fueled her dreams. Finally, Trump's sixth lesson was about courage. Sixth, if you want to change the world, you have to have the courage to be an outsider. You have to take risks, do things differently. Progress doesn't come from those satisfied with a broken system. It comes from those who want to fix it. Change is never easy, and the closer you get to success, the more those with a vested interest in the past will resist you. But if your vision is right, nothing will hold you down. Nothing. The crowd erupted in applause, and Emily clapped along, her heart pounding. Trump's words resonated deeply with her. Her dream of revolutionizing renewable energy was unconventional, especially in a world dominated by traditional energy giants. But she knew the system was broken. Climate change was a looming crisis, and she wanted to be part of the solution. Trump's call to be an outsider gave her the courage to embrace her vision, no matter how challenging the path might be. Trump concluded his speech with a final piece of advice. Graduates, you're at the age when you have the time and vitality to do incredible things. Give it your all, and a decade from now, you'll look back and be astounded by what you've achieved. You'll remember this day when the guy named Trump told you, "You can do it," and guess what? You will. I hope you remember that fondly. The stadium roared with applause as Trump stepped back from the podium, waving to the crowd with a broad grin. Emily stood with her classmates, clapping until her hands hurt. She felt a fire inside her, a determination she hadn't fully realized until that moment. Trump's speech, with its blend of personal anecdotes and moral lessons, had ignited something within her. She wasn't just a graduate anymore, she was a dreamer, ready to fight for her future. The journey begins. After the ceremony, Emily joined her mother Sarah in the stands. Sarah hugged her tightly, tears in her eyes. "I'm so proud of you, sweetheart," she said. "You've worked so hard for this." "Thanks, Mom," Emily replied, her voice trembling with emotion. "Did you hear what Mr. Trump said about not wasting your youth and thinking big? I've been so scared to start my company, but I think he's right. I need to do this now." Sarah nodded, her expression a mix of pride and concern. "It's a big step, Emily, but if anyone can do it, it's you. You've always had a fire in you. Just promise me you'll be careful and that you'll love what you do." "I do, Mom," Emily said, her eyes shining. "I love this. I want to make a difference." Over the next few weeks, Emily threw herself into her dream with a ferocity she hadn't known she possessed. She rented a small office space in Birmingham, using her savings to buy basic equipment and hire a small team of fellow graduates who shared her vision. Her company, Green Wave Technologies, aimed to develop affordable solar panels for rural communities, a mission inspired by her own childhood in a town where power outages were common. The early days were tough. Emily and her team worked long hours, often sleeping in the office to save time. They faced countless setbacks: suppliers, delayed shipments, investors were skeptical, and the technology wasn't as efficient as they'd hoped. But Emily remembered Trump's words about hard work and momentum. She refused to give up, pushing her team to innovate and improve their designs. She also took his advice to heart about loving what she did every late night. Every failed prototype was worth it because she believed in her mission. One evening, as Emily sat at her desk reviewing data, her phone buzzed with a news alert. It was a clip from Trump's speech, reposted by a local media outlet. She watched it again, hearing his voice echo in her mind. Work hard, never stop, don't lose your momentum. She smiled, feeling a renewed sense of purpose. She wasn't going to let her momentum slip, not now, not ever. Breaking the system. A year into her journey, Emily faced her biggest challenge yet. A major energy company, Apex Power, caught wind of Greenwave's progress and began to push back. They lobbied against her company, spreading rumors that her technology was unreliable and undercutting her prices to drive her out of the market. Emily felt the weight of their resistance. Just as Trump had warned, the closer she got to success, the more fiercely those with a vested interest in the past fought against her. But Trump's sixth lesson echoed in her mind, the courage to be an outsider. Emily knew she had to break the system to do things differently. Instead of competing directly with Apex Power, she shifted her strategy. She partnered with local nonprofits to distribute her solar panels for free to low-income families, building goodwill and proving the reliability of her technology. She also launched a crowdfunding campaign, sharing her story and vision with the world. The campaign went viral, raising millions and attracting the attention of ethical investors who believed in her mission. Apex Power's tactics backfired as public support for Greenwave grew. Emily's outsider approach, focusing on community impact rather than profit, won her the loyalty of customers and the respect of her peers. By the end of her second year, Greenwave had installed solar panels in over 50 homes across Alabama, and Emily was invited to speak at a national renewable energy conference in Washington, D.C. A decade later, reflection and legacy. 10 years after her graduation, Emily stood on the stage of the same conference, now as a keynote speaker. Greenwave Technologies had grown into a global leader in renewable energy, with projects spanning 5 continents. Her innovative designs had revolutionized the industry, making clean energy accessible to millions. She had faced countless challenges, lawsuits, market crashes, personal sacrifices, but she had never lost her momentum, never stopped loving her work, and never stopped thinking big. As she spoke to the audience, Emily reflected on that day at the University of Alabama. A decade ago, I sat in a stadium listening to a commencement address that changed my life, she said, her voice steady and confident. A man named Donald Trump told me to not waste my youth, to love what I do, to think big, to work hard, to keep my momentum, and to have the courage to be an outsider. Those lessons carried me through every challenge, every setback. They reminded me that success isn't about playing it safe. It's about fighting for what you believe in, even when the odds are against you. The audience applauded, and Emily smiled, thinking of her mother, who had passed away a few years earlier but had lived to see Greenwave's first major success. She thought of Trump's words, which had become her guiding principles, and the moral lessons they carried, the importance of passion, perseverance, and the courage to challenge the status quo. After her speech, Emily received an unexpected message, a handwritten note from Trump himself, who had seen her speech online. It read, "Emily, I told you you could do it. You didn't waste your youth, and you've made Alabama proud. Keep fighting, tremendous job." Emily laughed, tucking the note into her pocket. She had indeed remembered that day fondly, just as Trump had hoped, and she knew she would carry those lessons with her for the rest of her life.